In today's video, we are looking at focus stacking. Okay, so have you ever looked at a photo like a landscape or a close-up of still life and thought, how on earth is everything in focus? Like the stuff here that's right up close to the camera and also stuff off in the distance, and it's all tack-sharp. And that's not usually something that you can pull off in a single shot. Let me give you a couple of examples. So these photos are not mine, by the way. These are stock images, but you can see here how the flowers at the bottom of the screen are nice and sharp, but then so is the hill on the distance as well. And in this other photo, you can see that the rocks are also sharp, and so is the tree in the background. So how is this possible? Well, that is where focus stacking comes in. It's a technique where you take a bunch of photos, each one focused on a different part of the scene, and then you blend them together to make one final image where everything in the image is crisp and in focus. And the reason that you need to do this is that sometimes when the elements in your photo are spread out so far apart from each other, your lens can't physically hold all of it in focus at once, even with a narrow aperture. So we have to cheat a little bit by shooting in layers and then merging them together later in Photoshop. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to head out in a minute. We're going to shoot some images, and then I'll show you step by step how to combine them back at the computer. So let's get to it. Okay, so I wanted to give you a practical example of how you can use focus stacking in your photography. And I thought, well, if we're going to go out and get some shots, let's go somewhere nice. And so I brought you to the region of the Blue Mountains in New South Wales, which is about 2 hours away from Sydney. And unfortunately, the weather is not helping today. It's supposed to be sunny, but it's pretty overcast. So, but we're going to try and see if we can find a couple of nice spots, grab some images, and do some focus stacking. And so I'll let you know when we get to our destination, and I'll show you what the mountains look like. Okay, so I found a really good spot here. As you can see, there's a bit of a cliff there, and but we get a really good view of all the mountains over there. Now what I've got is I've got my camera set up just over here, and what I'm going to try and do is take a shot in that direction where you can see the mountains. The sun's just come out, so it's helping us a little bit. But what I want to do is I want to get these rocks as well as part of the photograph. And so we're going to initially take a shot where we're going to focus on the rocks, and then I'm going to focus sort of on these cliffs just here that you can see here, and then I'm going to focus finally at the end where the sun, you can see the sun shining over there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take those images and blend them inside of Photoshop so that we can get one shot where everything is in focus. So I'm going to go grab those images and I'll show you what those look like. Okay, so I found another vantage point. I think this one's going to work a little bit better just because there's more elements in the shot, and so I think it'll be more interesting. I've got the tripod set up over here. I've got some rocks in here that I think look really cool, and we're going to try and get the rocks in focus as well as the closest cliff over there. So I'm going to take about 4 shots, just progressively focusing further and further away from the camera until I get to the final shot, which is going to be the one on the cliff. So let's see what those shots look like. So in the end, I ended up finding this vantage point, which I think worked even better than the other two that I showed you. Unfortunately, I didn't record any video because I could hear some people coming and I didn't want them to walk into my frame. And so I really rushed to get this shot. But this is the vantage point that I ended up deciding on. Anyway, I should probably start heading back. I've got at least a half-hour hike back to the car, and then probably 2.5 to 3 hours drive home. And so I got some traffic on the way here, so I think I should probably start making my way back so that I can miss the peak hour traffic. But we'll keep a lookout on the way back. If we see anything else that's interesting, we'll stop and take some shots. Okay, so here we are in Lightroom. Now, one of the things that I just wanted to point out was that when I shoot images that are going to be focus stacked, I always shoot in manual mode. And that's just because I don't want anything in the camera to change. So if I shot, for example, in aperture priority, if the aperture changes from one shot to the next, then that is also going to affect my depth of field. That's the first thing. For this shot, I took 6 exposures. And the reason that I took 6 is because I shoot at f8 when I'm using this lens, because that is the sharpest sweet spot of this particular lens that I have. And so at f8, you don't get as much depth of field as you do in, say, f16 or f22. And so for this one, I shot an extra couple of images just to make sure that I got everything in the shot in range. The logic that I used was, first of all, my first shot is focused on these little branches that you see coming out of the ground here. That's the first image. I also took another image where I was focusing on the bushes here on the left. The third one is on the edge of these rocks. Then the fourth one, as for this cliff face here, as you can see, it's already very soft. Then the fifth one is at this cliff face, and then the last one is the cliffs right at the end. And so I've got all the images here. I'll just run through them just to show you how that works. The first image, as you can see, everything in here, these little twigs here, they're very, very sharp. But if I look at the back, then you can see that the cliffs are very, very blurry. If I go all the way to the end shot, you can see that now the twigs are blurry, but the cliffs on the back are very, very sharp. And so progressively, as you can see the images here, I just keep focusing further and further away from the camera. So how do we blend these images together? I'm going to select them all. So I'm going to click on the first one. I'm going to shift click on the last one. I'm going to right mouse click, and this is really important. I'm going to go to edit in, and then in here, I want to select open as layers in Photoshop. Now, most of the time, 99% of the time, we want to open layers as smart objects in Photoshop. But in this particular case, we don't want to do that because this technique does not work if you import them as smart layers. I don't know why that is, but it doesn't work. So we just want to open them as normal layers in Photoshop. So we're going to select that, and we're going to wait for Photoshop to bring those in. Okay, so the images have now opened up inside of Photoshop. You can see them here in their own individual layer on the right-hand side. The first thing that we need to do is we need to align the images. Now, I shot this using a tripod, so the images should all be aligned exactly the same, but I like to do it anyway in case that maybe while I was shooting, I accidentally bumped my tripod and you know, one of the images doesn't stack up on top of the other perfectly. So I like to do it anyway, but definitely do this if you are hand holding your camera. To do this, very simple. We're going to click on the top layer. We're going to do a shift click on the last one so that they're all selected. And then we're going to navigate up to the edit menu, and we are going to navigate down to auto align layers. Okay, so that's going to align them, or if they're off by even just a pixel. Let me show you what that comes up. This is the dialog box that comes up. We don't want to do anything fancy here. We just want to select auto, and then we're just going to click OK, and we're going to let Photoshop do its thing. Okay, so all of the images should now be aligned. So if I switch off any of the layers, you shouldn't see any movement in any of the static elements in the photograph. Obviously, the clouds are moving, but all of the rocks and the cliffs, you don't see any difference as I turn on and off these layers. So now they're perfectly aligned. To do the focus stacking, again, we're going to select all of the layers. I've already got them selected. We are going to go again to the edit menu, and now just below that option we just selected, you've got the auto blend layers. This is what we're going to select now. So we're going to click on that. We're going to get this dialog box, and the one that we want to select, we're going to get an option of two options here. You've got panorama or stack images. We want to use stack images. So we click on that, and then we click OK, and we're going to let Photoshop do its thing. Okay, and believe it or not, that's it. It's done. You can see on the right hand side here, all the layers have now got layer masks that have been created automatically. You can see that it's keeping certain elements. You can see some white here. For example, this one here, it's keeping the bottom left-hand corner of the screen in focus. That's what it's kept. But it's detected that the rest of it is out of focus. And if you look at this last one here, for example, you can see the white is towards the this top and right corner section of the photograph, which is the part that is furthest away. So it's created a brand new layer for you. So if I look at this one and I zoom in, let me zoom in, you can see that the twigs are now in focus, so's the edge of the rock, so are the bushes, so's the cliff, and everything else is now in focus. Okay, so that's how easy it is. You don't have to do anything. Photoshop does the whole thing for you. The only thing that you need to ensure is that you have enough images with enough planes in focus so that it can grab all of those components out of the photograph and then put them together. Once I do this, typically I will flatten the image. I don't need to go in and edit anything. If it's correct, I just flatten the image. If it's not correct, you can go into these layer masks and you can paint away or paint in extra parts of the photo if it didn't get it right. But honestly, I find that it gets it right pretty much 100% of the time. So there's no need for me to keep any of these other layers anymore. So I will right mouse click. I will then flatten the image, which makes the image a lot smaller. And then I am now ready to save this back into Lightroom with a full image that is got everything in the photograph. Everything is in focus. All right, so that is how you do focus stacking. And as you can see, it's not really that complicated once you see it in action. But if you've got any questions about the process or you get stuck when you try it yourself, just leave me a comment and I'll do my best to help you. And if you enjoyed this video, it'd be really great if you could click the like button. It really helps out the channel. And if you want to see more content like this, all you have to do is click the subscribe button and the notification bell, and then YouTube will let you know when I upload my next video. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.